guest struggle for the economic empowerment of women in Africa and in the Arab world. I'm very pleased to receive Amani Asfour, President of the Egyptian Federation of Business and Professional Women. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being our guest.
My pleasure.
It goes without saying that women are less paid than men in all over the world, not only in Africa. That women are more likely to occupy low-skilled, informal, non-standard jobs. How could we achieve economic empowerment for women in Africa?
Just let me put one crucial issue. In Egypt of Africa, we have equal pay. So we are not suffering from like what's happening in Europe. This is a myth. And even in Egypt or in Africa, we keep saying, how can a woman take less salary than a man? It's not acceptable. But we have other actually challenges that we are really looking for, how we really economically empower our women, which is about, for instance, women, young girls, they drop off education at a certain level because of poverty. And this is actually what we are trying to see now, how we empower the women economically. And for us, we have a lot of projects in Africa and in Egypt. We have what we call business development centers and business incubators. It's for the young entrepreneurship promotion. It's about how to help the women to start up their businesses, how to help the small and medium enterprises. And we have I have a theory which I call the triad of empowerment. It depends on three pillars. The first pillar actually is about the people, the personality of the young entrepreneur or the women. Personal empowerment programs, how we empower her to have self-confidence, self-esteem, how to run her company, how to register her company, how to start a business, how to think out of the box and get over her shy. So it's really about her education, building capacity and training. The second pillar, or the P, is the policy. What policy the government is putting to empower women economically. One of the policies we are now advocating for, whether Business and Professional Women of Egypt or the World Federation of Business and Professional Women, which I am honored to be the World Vice President, is about government procurement policy. The governments are the big purchasers of the whole world. So how can we have a certain percentage of this government procurement goes to women and youth? We implemented this in Kenya. Now 30% of all government procurement goes to SMEs, women, youth and disabled. How can we have it for the whole world? How the government can put it. And the third pillar actually is about the product. If the woman is self-empowered, self-esteem, have confidence, she's educated and the government is putting the policy in place, what product does she have to offer to the society? So her product, whether a skill or a product to sell, should be standard, should be quality, should have product development. In Africa, we have a lot of raw materials. So how we put value, add value to it to have a good product that is competitive and can be competing with the whole world.
So you have mentioned the necessity of self-esteem and confidence. Isn't it a question of education? After all, women are not really raised to be decision makers.
Very important. That's the whole issue. It's about democracy starts at home. That's why in our awareness campaigns for for women, because they are the ones who are raising the children, there is no discrimination between a girl and a boy. And now even with the United Nations, it has a new initiative called He for She. How can we empower the young boys to be advocates for gender equality and women empowerment? Women to have their decision, they have to be real self-confident. And also they have to be financially independent. That's why when we say economically empowered women, we want them because if there is violence against her and she still have to stay at home because where should she go? She has nowhere to go and sponsor her children. She cannot also go to parliament when she's hungry and her children is hungry. That's why economic empowerment is crucial. And the slogan of our organization is financial independence give you the power of choice and voice. Once you're financially independent, you own your own choice and your voice.
In some countries, laws and legislation to promote women's empowerment still exist, but they are not really implemented. How could we guarantee they will be respected?
Very important is the reinforcement of the laws. Like, for instance, In Egypt, we have a lot of laws. It's really about some cultural issues, whether in Egypt or in Africa, has to be reinforced. And this is by changing the mindset. And for changing the mindset, I call it the triple S. It's about the school, the curriculum. We have a school for entrepreneurship development, for non-discrimination between a girl and boy, for gender discrimination. It's about the state. What does the state have put for programs for real empowerment? And it's about the society itself. What does the society offer? How do you fight the media? The media is a very important thing. When you get the drama all the time, the woman is always vulnerable. She doesn't have the real decision making. Then it makes this issue. So it's about how the whole society, the culture of the mindset, do in order to implement the policies and the laws.
What do you think of quotas in the private sector, like forcing companies to have a certain number of women in their boards, for example?
It's not forcing companies. If we see that, we always say that equality means business, which means that when you have 100% productivity of the human resources, men and women, then you have more economic growth. So I am in favor of quotas, whether in the private companies, because then you have to really promote women. Also in parliaments, you have to promote quotas, and in government and in decision makings, because unless we do that, for the first step at least, we will not have any real development. It's time that we really have real empowerment for women.
Last question. We keep saying that productive forces need to be more flexible to face the challenge of both technical shift and digital economy. Are we on the way to train our young generation to that objective?
It is very important training of the young generation and the children to have the innovative way of thinking, because unless they have the real scientific and innovative thinking, then we will go no further. And it should be really systematic all over the world, because we find that there is a lot of discrepancy between some parts of the world and the others. So what we're promoting even now for us in Africa, we're organizing, I am the chair for the Science and Technology Cluster of the African Union, ECOSOC. We are promoting an African Congress for Women and Youth in Science, Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. So it's really about how you empower the women to have a scientific thinking and the youth, and to implement it through its entrepreneurship development, so we have a real out-of-the-box thinking.
Amani Asfour, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and for your feedback.
My pleasure.